Digga. Hello, my name is Steph. If you'd like to come on in, have a seat for some symbolic support today, grab a blanket. We're actually not going to do a regular scry. I'm going to do a little bit of a behind the scenes publicly. So if you would like to sit, grab a blanket, your beverage, whatever feels good to you. And I'm just going to reveal what came through on GhostTube Seer. So you can make the story, feel, see, sense, and feel for the story yourself. Might share little tidbits along the way, but just as a little something of what goes on in sometimes pre and post getting ready to set up or scry or create. So if you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome home. This is something a little different. If you check out the About section of the channel, I'm trying to be very transparent as seasons come up, my energy offerings, and I have different responsibilities, of course, as well, and roles. So I'm trying to be very upfront and honest, and you can check that out there. All right. Well, let's just get going here. So there's the first image that came up, and all these images came up in sequence. I will share them with you in the same sequence they revealed to me. As you know, if you're an OG here, GhostTube Seer does not always show things. So to have about 9 images come through almost back to back, there's definitely something going on. So here's the first image. Please see, sense, and feel for yourself. If this is reflective of what you feel you might be going through on a personal space, collectively, interconnectedly, interdimensionally, or if you're like me and you live near a space where there's like an old army camp and a train track near me where they would take the train to the army camp. So, yeah. There's the next image that came through right after. I get like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle vibes here. Stealth mode activated. I feel like it could be very easy to pit image 1 to image 2 here as who's the victor, who's the victim, who's good, who's bad, who's right, who's wrong. I will admit, while I take that, into consideration, everyone, I would assume, chooses and believes they're on the side of right. So, please, I'll go back to number 1 and then number 2. This also kind of gives me Ophiuchus vibes. Ophiuchus, for me, the signs, energy, very healing and helping, but they tend to do what I sensed is a lot of like solo missions, like SEAL team. And, things can be easily misunderstood sometimes when seeing out of context, but nonetheless. I also get armadillo vibes and turtle. I can see or at least I see a turtle shell there. The next image that came through is this beautiful haunty living room. And I love me some haunty. It's just my vibe. And I do want to note that I'm seeing the floor, either it's covered in sand or it's a cloth covering foundations, like whether those are ashes or destruction, or pieces of the past.
How?
I also want to note that this feels like I am in a space where I can pause. I'm in like a waiting room, which is, a liminal space of sorts, but I'm hearing for me knowing why I'm in this waiting room. There's a knowing. If I go back, if I may, it's almost as if, again, for my home and the area that I'm in, there's a lot of veteran and soldier energies that come in just from the land and the spaces around. And they seek and search out spaces to pause. To it's like walking into a friend's home, and just saying, come on in, have a seat, relax. And you can relax your shoulders. It's like, when you can find reprieve. And for me, a living room, in my little living room anyway, it's living, right? Now, whether we're living subtly or in density or from the other side or as ghosts or whatever the case is, the living, coexisting living, a welcoming space for them to come in, breathe, pause, reflect, heal, or just have a base before they make their choices moving forward. That's for me personally, just in my land and area, so that I'm aware of it in my vicinity. But you know the drill. Please see, sense, and feel for yourself. On a personal note, I feel like I just kind of could have gone through, and maybe you feel in the last, few days, weeks, months, years, you might have gone through, a little bit of, feels like a little bit of a war or a hunt on the self, right? And you've been working through some things, and it's like, and now you're just sitting here, and we're scrying together, we're chatting, and by the hearth fire, and we've got the mirror there, and these haunty kind of creepy pictures, and I just love it. And you can put your feet on things and it's okay. Put your feet up and rest. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's just sit and be quiet. I also want to note there might be some, as it reflects to me, intuitives, sensitives, or very physically instinctual strength personalities and behaviors and people out there.
They're here.
That you might feel hunted a little bit, because there's an essence. Your essence emits things, and it might just have that little, je ne sais quoi, that others that are hungry. And I don't mean others like they're outside of you, like the others, powers that be, we'll call them, or other powers at play, because you match it. But here's the thing, it's in one regard. Then this other little extra spice of your soul, they're hungry for that. So maybe you've been noticing, I don't know if it's a collective thing or if it's simply just a personal thing, just being mindful, especially even for those that are in like remote viewing, you might being remote viewed, and you might want to do your measures to make sure that while, like for my home with the living room and holistic spirits of coexisting are welcome, that doesn't mean to say there's not protection, and very much so a boundary that is nurtured very, very well, So it's like grace, so that maybe, I don't know, maybe there could be some loitering. I know, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Okay. But it's so nice, so nice. I feel like for some as well, you have been in a waiting room of sorts like this before, and you might feel like the heart fire has gone out and it's like reigniting a passion. Take a moment. Take a moment. The next image that came up was these 3 children, or at least 2 children. There's a lot going on collectively from the very little that I know, because I don't watch the news or anything like that, but there's definitely a feeling of children and children of consciousness as well, whether that means your age is, 10, 25, 75, 89. Child of consciousness. You might also have been working through your childhood, your inner child, and different versions of how you coped, managed, survived, and thrived, or moving into thrival if you feel you haven't yet. Yeah. There's also, I just got to say, it's like being a doll. You know what I mean? And I don't mean like, let's play with a doll. Maybe there's like those teddy bears that have the cameras in them and you're just being watched and viewed, or it comes from that space of somewhere else. I can't really place these eyes of sorts, but if you're landing in it, you land in it. And if you don't, you don't. But if you do, I don't need to try and explain it. But it's kind of like in that vibe of when you feel like maybe it's some part of you is putting on a play. You're just a doll, and you dress up every day, or when you're a kid or a teenager, young adult, and you get dressed up and okay, let's do the things. I don't know. Maybe you've just been working through some like serious subconscious stuff, and that's pretty impressive if you are. But we can also notice it in other people, places, or things if we've been through that. And you're like, compassionately, I can see it. And there also might be some amongst the collective that have been treating children of a younger earthly age as toys. And that is coming to light. And that's really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. Okay, let's carry on.
I'm right here.
Okay, we're right here with you. The next image here, it came up in sequence. It looks like a witch. I'll be honest, I heard Dark Fae as soon as it came through. I don't know anything about Dark Fae. I don't even know if Dark Fae, to be honest with you, is a thing, but that's exactly what I heard. But there's also an emergence of something. There's also a cleansing going on. And I feel like the way one could be depicted could be deceiving, easily deceivable to those looking for those clear signs. So as the example, she looks like a witch with a hat. Whether her intentions are good, bad, or ugly, if someone is dressed like a doll, you dress up a doll a certain way to depict something. That, while it is perhaps a cue or a clue, it's also like an easy way to imply something that's possibly not. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like kind of going back to the beginning images, if I can do this without, driving you crazy. Who's the hero? Who's the villain? You know what I mean?
They're here.
It's like those anyway, it's fine. So land in it how you may. You could also have ancestors. You could also be clearing out an old witch's wound. I think that's what the kids are calling it nowadays. And lots of pumpkins, if pumpkins mean anything to you. I also kind of get between this image and the previous image is a Hansel and Gretel vibe. That's just me. But there it is. And then this is the next image that came through. I feel like I'm being watched while I'm sleeping here. And with my eyes closed, it's like, it's happening. I'm not saying it's creepy. But the eyes don't even need to be open for you to sense something. This feels very like a sense. I also feel like I am like linen and silk. Linen and silk. There's something about breathing. There also could be something in the subconscious sleep state, which I feel kind of like keeping in the personalized, or at least, closer to me version of this, of whatever this healing has been going through. If there's been a personal war of the heart or healing of the heart, etc., whatever the case is. And then coming into that waiting room where you get to go and just like rest. Like when you're safe. And yes, it does. It has the Ophiuchus vibe. You're safe. You're surrounded by the spirit of those that, like even from the beginning, guys, that are protecting your home. You're working with them. And they work for you. And you might go on your own solo hunts and journeys for things that mean something to you. But nonetheless, sorry if that was weird, I gotta say, it feels like I've personally escaped some sort of reoccurring nightmare. Oh, it appears to be a reoccurring nightmare. And I am slathered in such a beautiful space here. That's how I land into it. It also gives me eclipse energy. I think we did a scry recently about this. Ecliptal time. And it's interesting that you say Virgo, because Virgo, like with that virgin concept, it's like, and even from the image beforehand, this purity, your innocence was not lost. You've maintained ethics and morals amongst the growing spurts, growing pains, and growing gains, and those are pretty big pillars, and it's a very respectable space. Very respectable space. And I'm hearing respecting reality and all of its different expressions. There's a respect there. This is that personal victory feel. Personal victory. And we come from that waiting room. I feel like in many ways, all of these images created a story as they came through so quickly. Resting up and then, receiving help from another. whether it's a friend, family member, whatever the case may be, is we're in places we can't reach, maybe. It's nice. It's nice to receive, right? To accept help. On the flip side, as I wandered
Statue.
and lingered in here, the one girl at the front, she looks like a cyborg. I see her like a fembot from Austin Powers, or maybe like cyborgy feel. There's almost like the eyes. On one hand, when I stay in the personalized story, I feel like I'm almost in still disbelief, recuperating trauma, but moving through into trust. When I wander into more of like the cyborg feel, there is this feeling of a vessel has been created, and what I could say feels like consciousness. I don't know if it's the same thing. I don't know if it's AI. It's not the point for me to know what it is. It will adapt and will grow accordingly into what feels like consciousness anyway. But personally, maybe you have a friend, family member, sibling, sister. They could be in spirit. They could be here in density. As you know me, I do my best to keep the two worlds at least open. The afterlife and the animated life, our life. And then there's elementals in there. And there's all these different expressions and entities. And it's all life. The constructs I understand, but even sometimes for me, it's like in the psyche, I get it. The afterlife, the this, the that, the terms, the labels we use, and I get it, and I appreciate it. It helps us navigate. Sometimes it doesn't help, but I stumble through it with you because how I feel is it's always just an open oneness. We coexist. It just is. Yeah, okay. See, I can't blah, 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 blah. Anyway, last but not least, in this personal, perhaps healing journey of some sort, victory.
I'm eternal.
We are eternal essences, right? Eternal essences, always in existence, and many existences paralleling, or whatever the most popular opinion is right now. But this feels like a personal victory. I originally stepped in. I was like, oh, look at the fireworks. This is lovely. Even though I, as Steph, do not enjoy fireworks in any way, shape, or form. They're loud, and I feel like they're not for me anyway. If they could be silent, but even then. Anywho. So personal victory. And there is a clock there. Is it some sort of clock tower maybe? I don't know. Whatever resonates with you. Again, put me on silent or mute if you don't want to hear me yammer. If you're like, this is nonsense. Well, that's fine. That's cool. But welcome to my world. And on the other hand, if you look in the background of this image, in order for one to be celebrating, it seems like in the background there's something else burning, which kind of brings me back to, let's see if I can find the witchy dark fae, that burning bowl and the candle. It's like that cremation. Maybe you're doing it. There's definitely been a cleansing that's been gone on, usually utilizing the fire element. Maybe you've been working with the fire energy to purify something from this image, and inevitably it frees yourself, but harmonizes what we call the shadow and the shine, or the polarities. And maybe for some, you're realizing, like even just in me trying to have it fall out of my face, respecting the duality in which this dimension is, but you're not locked into it in its entirety. You can see beyond it, which is uncomfortable as well. But we still need to respect the polarities. So having said that, there's something in the background there. In order for you to celebrate, there's maybe a part of you, a castle of consciousness, a mansion of your mind or your heart, or somewhere, Libra, yeah, that you've had to conquer yourself. Go through your own hauntings of the hearts and minds and be brave. And also rest, coming out of that and not staying in that space or in that environment as an existence experience in its entirety. So congratulations on this personal victory. If you're still here with me, and that's awesome if you are, because if this sucks nards, I apologize. But, we're free to share and play around, grow, ground. And the helpers gets healing, and the healers also get helped. There's no one's, beyond it. Also, we can step
Remorse.
into this from a collective space, and, when one city or town or country may celebrate, there's another country town that isn't celebrating. And very indicative again of the kind of like the first images, right? Who's the hunter, the huntee, who's the right and the wrong. History is really holistic, and there's a lot of stories that are louder
Drip.
or that are slow drips or quick drips or like a dumping. But hopefully wherever you are in your space, I just want to acknowledge that this feels like your victory, and accept it as a victory if that feels well to you. Because what you've gone through, it's a little bit scary. I'm not going to lie. It feels super scary. Bravery, courage, and all those great attributes that really, I think, are when keeping that ethics and morals as you learn and grow and decide in that space. That is what creates this essence that you have that emits that's something. That's something. And that's pretty cool. And I appreciate that about you. Maybe it's just an awareness as well. But I'm going to let you go. I will zip through these images once again so you can see them for yourself, a little slideshow. But if you enjoyed this, let me know. And if not, that's cool too. You can let me know as well. It's all good. But I'm so glad. I will see you again soon. If you're part of the Secret Society, I'll see you this weekend. And if I didn't say, check out the About section so you know when things are coming up. I love you.
I can't
I
speak.
appreciate you. And I will see you again soon. Bye. I'm going to help you out right now. Let's go back to the beginning. Start at the very beginning.